And we are back with the Mr. Olympia wrap up, just as we have gone into lockdown number 3 at this point, isn't it? So it's like
lockdown. I'm losing count, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
For fuck's sake, I don't know what's going on, man. It's crazy shit, man. Yeah. First of all, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Same to you.
How was your New Year's?
It's good, man. It's good. It's like it's a weird one. It's like even though I say the gyms are shut, this is probably the first lockdown where I've actually had a whole plan in place. So I have a place to train next week on, and
Oh, nice.
then I think I have a week off work, and then I'll still be driving up because I'll be getting trained in to manage a gym because I'll be relocating in February at some point. So I'll still be like doing things. I just can't, you know.
Is that the place in Bray you're managing?
No. So what's happening there is like, I just got in early, and John Carroll actually trains there, so he PTs people there, and he kind of has a place in it. So what happened was I asked him about the gym, and he said, "Oh, come on down. It's a hardcore gym," and it was, you know. But the owner kind of has a few plans, so it's like you should definitely come out because anyone who I'd be friends with is more than welcome to come out. It's just he wants people there to, you know, spread the word and everything, because it's like you'd be shocked when you get there. He's getting you pieces of kit handmade for him. Like it's like it's his passion project. So I think it's not necessarily open to the public yet. It's going to be open in the summer. So it's like
it is in Bray though, yeah.
Yeah, you know where TNT was?
Yeah.
It's that building. So it's like right where Aldi.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's a good gym.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like what have you been doing, man? You have a few bits at home, or have you have?
Oh man, so the first lockdown, my missus had like in her old place, she had like one of the York benches.
Yeah.
You know, that has like a leg extension, and you can do a line hand curl, and you know it goes up to incline, decline, all that kind of stuff. So we had that, but like the York bar that come with it was like, I don't know, must weigh about 4 kilo or something. Can't put any serious weight on it. So I bought the Spinlock 10 kilo bar from a guy on the north side in the first lockdown, and I bought then some 5 kilo cast iron York plates to go with all the weight she had. So when you add, like, I've got like red bands, the black bands, purple bands, green bands. So when you add bands to it, there's good enough tension. You know, you're not going to be hitting any PBs or training heavy, but the way I kind of do training during the lockdown is I just do giant sets. I just don't, you know, I don't feel any stimulus weight-wise unless I do something like that, because of the fact that the weight I have is limited. So I'll just either do like a superset or a giant set or like a tri-set or something, and just keep the weight moving and keep the reps sort of like between sort of 12, 15 short rest periods, that kind of thing. Try and get a good pump and then, you know, get in and out after about 45 minutes. I mean, it's fucking freezing outside, man. Yesterday I did my first session, and I like went to do like standing shoulder presses with the bar, and I hadn't touched the bar the whole session. I went and put my hand on it, and I didn't think I was going to get my hand back. It was fucking freezing, you know what I mean? So I had to go in and get a pair of gloves and put gloves on and put a hat on and all this kind of shit, like, you know what I mean? And it's out in the back and it's muddy and it's fucking cold and it is what it is. But look, I'm not going to not train, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't like sit here for 4 weeks and just do cardio or just walk the dog or something. Like, I'd lose my fucking reason. So doing something is better than nothing. But basically what I just decided to do was I kind of pushed, like, I kind of started the off season maybe like about 6 weeks ago properly. Like, so I pushed my weight up to like 116. The goal was to get to like 120 and then hold 120 and kind of grow into 120. So I knew like the quicker I got there and held it, the better I'd get condition wise at that weight, and I would be more, I'd be more able to kind of hold, because that's how I feel is best to get to like bigger weights, is to push to the weight, not like overnight, like, but get there in good fashion by eating a lot of food and then get your body accustomed to walking around at that weight, training at that weight, holding that weight, and then eventually condition yourself at that weight. Because the more you progressively overload your body with training, the harder you're going to get at that weight. So you shouldn't necessarily be falling, in terms of the scales. It should be holding, and then eventually your output's going to demand more food, so the better conditioned you are, the more you're going to have a better metabolism. So it carries over. So for me, that's how I like to do it. And I probably would have hit 120, probably I'd say by mid-February, probably end of Feb, without rushing it. And then I would have held it for a good few months before I decided to cut back on it, and tidy up and see where I was sitting at maybe 110, because every time I do that then and come back down, I'm a bigger, harder, leaner version at a weight where previously I pushed up to. You know what I mean? Like where before 110 was where a weight I was trying to get to. Now weight 110 when I come down would be a weight where I'd look in good shape. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like moving up, then coming down and seeing, and then pushing back up again, holding it, getting better condition. And it's like if you listen to a lot of the top guys, like especially like people who are open about their previous off seasons, like Luke Sando, rest his soul, when he was here, James Hollingshead as well, Fuad Abiad in particular, Dusty Hanshaw, like they'll all tell you, like there was a time when they were walking around at 280, 290 and they couldn't look at themselves in the mirror because they were like sloppy, but then now they're walking around at 280 in bloody good condition, you know what I mean, like and near enough shredded. So it takes time, it takes a lot of time, and not everybody can get to that kind of weight either. I think a lot of people think that just if they keep eating their meals and keep training, that eventually they can turn into a 270, 280 pound freak. It's so much fucking harder than people think. Drugs aside, the food alone is just, I mean, it is gargantuan the amount you need to eat. You know what I'm saying? So,
I tell people this as well, because I'm in total agreement with what you said. Like, I had one client who's going to do spring. Now we have to pull the plug because, obviously what's going on, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But I don't think
is that what you've decided to do with your guys? Have you decided to call it a day for the shows?
Yeah, I mean, I only had one client in the show, so it was actually okay. It was kind of like he felt like he actually was going to say it to me, but I was actually typing the message. It was pretty much once we both saw the announcement, I just said to him, we'll pull the plug. But because I knew he was going to think the same thing. But in reference to the big off season, like what I told him was, you don't necessarily need to ramp anything up really high, drug wise. It's more about the food and the training. And enough. I say, like, obviously there is going to be a point where you do have to do certain things, like become accustomed to the fact that I need more time to, like, I have two routes I can go. It's like I'm in that middle ground now where I could probably compete again in October now myself, and I'd be arguably, I think, bigger and better. But I'm also like, I could really take the time off now and do what you pretty much just said there for a full 9 months, of uninterrupted training, and then do the spring shows in 21 or 22. Sorry, yeah. But it really depends, man. It's like anything could happen, because I'll be moving out in February anyway to Mullingar, Touchwood, to manage a gym there. So that's meant to be opening up in March. So I'll be out in February. So I'm like, you know what? Because I'll be in charge, it's perfect for bodybuilding. That's why I took it, and I'll have a gym. Yeah. So to
I mean, the problem at the moment on is like nobody can build up a head of steam right now. Like unless you actually have your own fucking facility to train out of, you know what I mean, or you've built one or some shit like that, and you literally have everything at your beck and call, you're the only person that you can really go ahead and actually make some sort of momentum or gains or progress right now, because everybody is stuck. Like, I mean, that's why I pulled out these shows in March, and I feel sorry for, Paul and for what's his name, Ian, and all these other guys, Ian McGarry, because they are as meticulous as it comes when it comes to this type of game. And to see people like put in the amount of effort they put in to keep going in a positive, direction, to, put themselves in the mix for these muscle contest shows or spring shows or whatever shows they're doing, and then for all this uncertainty to be around it, it's not good for your prep, man. That's why I didn't want a shadow of a doubt over my head that, okay, we can keep going where we're going and we're in a good spot, but then fucking 8-9 weeks out we're told this shit happens. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm prepping for a show with cast iron weights and fucking bands out the back, and who's gonna really turn up at their best when they've got like literally nothing to work with? You know what I mean? That's why I felt the October 2022, all these vaccines will have been rolled out by then. More than likely, the country will be back to some form of normality, and we probably would have had at least one show run successful in the country by then. So if there's a show that's gone on or two shows that have been successful up until that point, then you can probably guarantee that those nationals will go ahead. So I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll just concentrate on that. You know what I'm saying? So
there's the other thing. It's like let's say this summer the gyms don't shut again. That's kind of what people are hoping. Is like that. But the thing is then the show. I think the shows will go ahead at that point in October. It's just a case of, I don't think it'll be stacked. I think the guys who will turn up will be guys who really want to be there. Like they'll usually be guys who had access to the equipment. And that's kind of part of the reason why I said I want to relocate for a gym job, because we will have full access to it. So I think it puts me in the running to at least give it.
What height are you?
I'm 5'5", so it's like 5'5" and a bit. So it's like, for me, I'm kind of like, I want to get.
So what's your max off-season weight? Like around 89, 90?
No, I got up to 95, and I'm kind of like.
Oh Jesus! Okay.
Yeah, so I push it quite high, like, but then I'd be like, I want to get up to about 105, because I know when I diet down, I'll be like 80 something on stage,
But what you put up a post the other day where you showed some progress pictures there in Raw, where you did some mandatories. What was your weight there?
I haven't weighed myself, man. I'm kind of like, I don't weigh myself. I tell people this all the time. It's not because it fucks with my head, but I know when I'm moving certain weights on certain lifts all over, I'm probably big, So right now I'm kind of like, my legs are getting up there, my shoulders and arms are pretty much up there. Chest is the last thing to come back, and then back takes its time, but like it's so it's probably the same with yourself. I mean, you probably have like some areas where you're probably very quick to respond to when you come back training, and then certain
100%, yeah. Like for me, like legs is for me like one of these things where like I'll walk away and not train legs for 6 weeks, come back, do 2 leg sessions, and my legs are full blown again. Where if I took 6 weeks off training back, I'd come back looking like a scarecrow, like in a back double. To be like, for me, the most hardest part, I think, to put on density for me myself is back, because I have a very good connection with back, and I can roll quite heavy and I can pull quite heavy, but I don't seem to put on the density in my back as quickly I can put it on in other places. And I will put it down to, it's not necessarily work ethic as such, but I think certain people are just they're accustomed to being able to grow better in certain places and accumulate more tissue and density in certain places. Like I've seen guys who could pull far less than me or train back than me have better than me, because they probably connect with it better. And I've seen guys come in and outscore me or something like that, but their legs would be half my size, So in that respect, I'd say back for me would probably be the weak part. I would lose the quickest out of everything. Why I really would focus on that up this offseason. Just bring it down, probably back down to 10, probably between 180, and hopefully when the gyms open up again, I'll reverse out of that nice and tidy, and then push it back up, hopefully to a leaner 115, 116. But we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, let's crack on with this Olympia.
Yeah, man.
Because we've got a few things to talk about.
It was good. It was good. I think like as opposed to our predictions, we weren't too far off. I think there was definitely a few shockers.
No.
There was a few shockers now. Like we'll go with the obvious. We'll start with the open. So Rami obviously came in, clear cut winner. I thought anyway.
You called it. You called it.
Yeah. I said if he bought it in, I said it's just if he had that, if he had enough condition. I just thought Chad Nichols. I don't know. I thought that it was like a good combination, and he seems to. It's just the confidence he had when he came out.
Yeah. Totally. Congratulations for calling that one correctly, by the way. I think when I first seen him come out, the first thing I thought was he looks healed, but he looks flat slightly. And then I thought, okay, let's see how he goes as he starts to pose a bit more. And he started to pose me enough. It's like he started to glide a bit more, a little bit harder. In the side shots, he looked incredible. But really, I felt where he showed some dominance was in the comparisons, because, like, he exposed Phil tremendously. I don't ever remember watching an Olympia where, since Phil has started competing, where I've seen Phil so nervous in every shot. Like when Phil came out and hit the front double, he had a look on his face like he was thinking to himself, "Oh shit," because either he was in pain or he was trying to disguise the pain or disguise the stomach. But he had so many times in the show where you could tell he was nervous. Nervous because he felt he was being beat, which he clearly knew he was being beat, and then because he couldn't control the inevitable, like the stomach. And I felt when he first came as well, it was clear day that the stomach was worse than it was before. It was like the two abs directly under his diaphragm were just like poking out, and then everything else just looked like watery and nothing to them. And like in the front double, it was actually, I tell you what it actually was. It was actually sad. I felt sorry for Phil, and I don't like Phil as a person. I think he's an asshole, and I'll tell you why I think he's an asshole. Because I had a bad experience with Phil Heath back in 2017 at the European Olympia, when they did the tour afterwards, and they decided to do the Olympia in Europe and Germany. So me and the missus went to watch the show, and Phil decided to compete, right? But Rami was supposed to compete, but then he got injured or some shit, and he didn't go. Anyway, cut a long short, Rowley was there, Bonac was there, Lana Becky, Dexter Jackson, Sean Roden, Becky came fifth in that show, and I'm telling you now, Chris Aceto was there. And to this day, Chris Aceto says Becky was the most unbelievable bodybuilder he'd ever seen at that show. He was fucking insane. But Phil was there at Ultimate Nutrition. He was sponsored by them at the time. And it was 50 quid to go and see him, yeah? And I was like, he's standing right in front of me. I can see the guy, but I'm not paying 50 quid for a tub of protein and then to go and meet Phil. Like, I'm not like, what's the word I'm looking for? Stingy, but like 50 quid to just go and meet the guy. When I met Rowley, Kevin, Sean, all them dudes just were like, there to meet. No, he was asking for cash. But nonetheless, next day at the train station, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and me and the missus were getting the train back to, say, the airport or some shit like that. And he was standing like 5 yards away from me with his missus and I think and there was 2 other pro bodybuilders there, but they're like guys from like back in the day, and a couple of other guys. So there's maybe like 6 or 7 people there with him. And I walked up to him and I was like, "Oh, hey Phil, how you going? Any chance I can get a picture with you?" And he was like, he looked at me and kind of looked me up and down. He went, "Oh brother, come on, man. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I haven't even had a coffee, man." And I was just like, kind of looked at him and went, "Really? You're not going to take a picture of me because you haven't had a coffee?" And he was just like, "Sorry, man, I need my coffee first before I start like talk to people." And I was just like, that is just shit. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm a 6, 7 time, whatever time Olympian that he was back then, and a fan came up to me and asked me you know, for an autograph or a quick picture, I would never turn around and say, no way, man, I haven't had a coffee yet. Like, I'm sorry. Do you know the kind of way? So after that, I kind of lost a lot of respect for Phil as a person, but as an athlete, I think he's incredible. But going back to the show,
the press
yeah, I think
madman. He unleashed during the press conference. I thought he was doing that either because it was either utter confidence or he just was I don't know. It didn't feel like it needed to be done that way. It was kind of like, I don't know. He just did. If imagine he won. The thing is, imagine he won after that press conference. That's the thing. But he didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought the press conference was pretty done because they pretty much gave all of the hype to Phil. Now, a lot of people say, you know, but he's a 7-time Mr. Olympia, you kind of have to keep, you know, give him his dues. But it was pretty clear throughout the whole weekend that winning 7 Olympias got him a lot of dues because he was second place on Friday night, which I thought was ridiculous. Curry was fourth, I think, if I can remember correctly on the scorecards, or it was Hardy Chupin. I can't remember. But nonetheless, he just got like a third place, in my opinion, for being Phil Heath. And what bothered me the most about it was Bonac got shot on, my opinion. Like, in the comparisons on the Saturday, Bonac brought in that top 4 comparison once. It was like they had already decided he was fifth. And you remember on the Saturday, Bonac came out, he looked insane. And I was, Jesus Christ, in 24 hours, that has turned it around. Like, him and Hardy, whatever they did in that 24 hours was but Hardy got he got the nod, and we all seen what happened there. I'll go back to him in a minute. I thought Bonac, if he had been put next to Phil, the way Phil looked on Saturday, Phil could have easily come fourth or fifth. You know, like, I thought third was just a complete lift, you know. But going back to Rami quickly, the guy can win as many Olympias as he wants to now that he's in the driving seat. The fact that Chad Nichols has him is a good thing, in a sense that Chad, like, obviously knows now how to manipulate his body to peak, or to come at least close, if not better, to that condition. I listened to a very funny thing with Chad where he talked about at the Arnolds. They started carving him up on the Wednesday, I think it was, for the Arnolds. He was like 301 pounds. And then, like, 3 meals later, he was 311 pounds. And he was complete, like, washout. And Chad, like, fuck. Like, he's gone 10 pounds up in 8 hours. What the hell are we going to do? So they actually had to stop the carb up and, like, had to pull him back down to get him to, like, 300. And then Chad was like, when they were backstage, he started to get him to do his pump-up protocol. And then he did, like, something like 7 or 8 bodyweight squats. And he's like, the dude's leg, like, it quadrupled in size because of all the glycogen. All the lines just disappeared, but his leg blew up. It's like, he was like, stop what you're doing right now. Like, clearly the guy, he said on the podcast with Fuad that the guy is the most efficient bodybuilder he's ever seen at taking in everything. And, like, he obviously didn't address the drugs and stuff like that because nobody really wants to do that with a Mr. Olympia. However, the way it was kind of made out, it was just like, look, the guy walks around at 350 pounds in shape, and his blood pressure is perfect. His blood work is perfect. He's not a big eater, but he can push up to 350 like in a heartbeat. So clearly the guy is a freak and can, like, you know, take on anything that's given to him and grow. You know what I mean? So he's going to be extremely tough to beat now going ahead. And I mean, if he brings in those lower lats, brings the separation through in his legs. I like the fact that Chad said the first thing he did with him is he started to get rid of the scar tissue in the quads. He started to get all the shit out of his legs, basically, because I think his legs have been pumped with too much synthol and too much crap for too long, that there was no separation there until somebody addressed the issue. You know what I mean? And now, if they lay off on that and just keep doing what they're doing, he's going to eventually bring out more separation and detail and over time, especially in the back. And then if he does that, like, it's lights out, you know. As for Brandon, what did you think of Brandon?
I thought, to be honest, like, I never thought he was going to win it. I just thought it was a weird one because he did look better, but he didn't look drastically better. You know, it's like his upper body looked phenomenal. His legs look, you know,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
I
but
don't understand.
it's just when you put him and Rami together, it was just too much muscle, and he was in condition, and you can't beat that much muscle when it's in
Yeah.
condition. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was the thing is, Phil was in first.
Mm.
It would have been a better comparison because both of them are bottom heavy with the hamstrings and everything. But Rami won because of his side shots. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, Brandon looked
100%,
good.
yeah.
I think Brandon should be happy with
Yeah.
second place. You know, it was a good showing. He bet Phil.
Yeah.
He bet Phil Heath. Like that's the thing. He still bet
Yeah.
Phil Heath. Like, so
Yeah. That is very much that's the feather in his cap. That he always wanted all along there was to be able to say that I've beaten Phil. As you said, he came out too blown, I think, on Saturday to kind of catch up or mud up on Rami. And it although he did look very blimped out, it then makes his leg even worse looking, you know, in terms of size, because he really has to like make sure that his adductors are standing at you know, with his heels in order to make his legs look in any way, shape, or form thick, because they're not. I also think whoever's doing his tan needs to lighten up on the tan, because they have him coming in way too dark. Like, you can't see any separation in the guy at all. He's naturally, he is a very dark skinned guy anyway. So he doesn't need to be put like they have him like black, you know, and to be fair, sometimes that could be against you big time, like to your detriment. If you're too dark, you can't see anything going on. You know what I mean? I thought the Saturday he was very good. I loved when they put Hardy inside next to Rami and they pushed Brandon out. What I would have liked to seen there was a call out between Phil, Brandon, and Bonac, because the three of them are extremely well matched in terms of muscle bellies, muscularity, density, shape, etc. I would have had Brandon in the middle of that three, but I think that three would have exposed Phil even more, because Hardy was incredible on the Saturday. Again, I mentioned already what, like, you know, him and Bonac came out on the Saturday. It was night and day how different they looked. And Hardy's midsection, it's like a complete throwback to the 90s, where you had mass monsters that had incredible midsections. Like, he has an 8-pack that is, it's so well detailed that he exposed every single person who can't keep their abs in. And a lot of people say to me, you know, oh, but it's not an abs, you know, show or whatever. Well, it fucking is, you know, if part of a lot of the costs, and if you have on a midsection next to a guy who's 230 odd pounds of complete tissue, hard as fuck, dry, shredded, the whole lot, and his stomach looks, it's been etched out of bone, you know, you're going to be exposed big time. And again, like, Phil was given a gift there, like, no pun intended, because of the fact that he is a 7-time Mr. Olympia. But when Hardy stood next to Rami, I don't know about you, but I felt he was the only one who could give Rami a run for his money.
Yeah. No, I think well, talking about Hardy anyway, like the problem was when he first came out, he definitely wasn't as conditioned. Well, not as conditioned. Sorry, he was as conditioned. I think he was just a bit flat, or he was either holding water or he's a bit flat the first night. But then the second night, he came out the same as he did look, and you know, he looked great. So he was fourth the first night, and he was second the final. So that's what we didn't get. But I think he would have gotten it. I think in terms of where he is, he's in a very good spot. Like Bonac and him were, you know, Bonac looked really good as well. Like, so I actually preferred, I like Bonac from the back, and I like Hardy from the front. And I think on the side shots, I think Bonac was comparable, but I think Hardy just came in so dry and he's so nasty looking. But again, with the midsection, he has that really, it's a like washboard abs, you know.
Yeah.
Bonac has it's a very short midsection, so it's kind of crammed in.
It's clumpy. Yeah, he does have a long torso there, so you don't really see. He has a good stomach, mind you, but it's not as long or elongated in the in the midsection, whereas Hardy's is quite long for a short guy. I tell you what's going to be so fucking interesting, by the way, is next year when Flex comes back, shredded, like at 230, 235, standing next to him, and Bonac, the three of the short guys. I mean, it is a fantastic time for a short guy to now come into the open. You know what I mean? Because albeit that Rami's a bigger guy, I think Rami's like 5'10", for the guys jostling for that second position, you could realistically have, if you really wanted to, you could have Hardy Chupin, Flex Lewis, William Bonac, Derek Lunsford, although Lunsford would have to kind of bring up his condition game, Nicholas Vouliad. There's 5 guys who are like incredibly well balanced in terms of muscularity, size, their short wow X factor. You put 5 of them in that lineup, now you've got like 5 short guys giving those taller, bigger guys a run for their money because they're so well balanced and conditioned. You know what I'm saying? So I think Flex would have done incredibly well this year if he had been there. Like he would have definitely been pushing Rami, because in comparison to Brandon, if you're looking at the like shot for shots, like, okay, he's not the same size as Brandon, but he's going to massacre Brandon on a lot of those like shots, like back double, back lat spread, a front double. It'd be very close because he's so complete. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like it would have been a very close show. Like, but I agree with you there. It's like I think a lot of 2-on-2 guys would do very well if they hop straight in, and it's not necessarily about adding on 10 kilos of muscle. It's just maybe 2 or 3 kilos of muscle and being a little bit fuller because you don't have to make a weight cap. So
100%. And I mean, like, you know, let's not forget Rowley wasn't there. And we've all said it before, like pound for pound, if we're matching muscularity, Rowley can stand next to Rami, no problem. You know, he has the ability to out-muscle him in shots. So that'll be a very interesting, you know, lineup next year when you add a better, bigger Nathan Diasha, a Flex Lewis, a Rowley Winkler. You know, they're three.
They're three. Like there's a few. I mean,
a
lot of stalwart guys who just haven't made it to the show. Like obviously Juan Diesel was there, but he wasn't as good.
That's fire.
I think, but in going after Bonac, we had obviously Ian Valier, Hunter, and Akim. So Akim was 6th, wasn't he?
I was just going to touch on the 6th spot there. I thought like Akim Williams, he is. You got to give the credit first of all, because I said before he's a dark horse, and the conditioning is insane. It's so funny because when he turns around the back, from the start of the lats up to say the rear delts, him and Brand are literally like for like in the sense that they just can't get peeled in those areas. You get me? They're full as a house, like in the back. There's no and Max Charles, and there's just no separation there, you know. But it seems to be coming a little bit better because on the Saturday night he was evidently a lot harder through there. So it could be a case of just finding the right balance between water and carbs and what they're doing on the peak week. But I mean, again, you take him, you take Bonac, you take Brandon, and you take Phil in a call out of 4. Fuck me, that is a serious call out because again, you're getting like round, thick, dense guys with a lot of similar kind of, you know, showy body parts. And then it becomes very interesting because when Akeem is put next to the smaller guys, he's dangerous, you know. And now that he's made that 6th spot, he's got to be considered again going forward when it comes to the likes of the Arnolds or the New York Pro. Now he's like one of those top tier guys who can't be overlooked anymore because he's won Chicago. He's got his top 6 now. You know, he's in the mix. Valier was like fucking insanely peeled. Like I actually can't believe how peeled he was.
But he was
and like
big
obviously
as well,
we're watching this.
like, the thing is when he stood next to people, you know, he wasn't giving up any size. Obviously, like he's a big framed guy, but I felt the only thing,
No,
obviously, his calves are so bad.
yeah. But
Really
do you know
scary.
what was
But
you could sense the rivalry between him and Labrada on stage.
yeah,
Like you could feel like one wanted to out jostle the other. And what was really good about that was the Labrada team. I think they wanted him to come in a little bit too full blown, and he lost the crispness he had from like a week out, and they brought him way too full. Because during the posing, he was fucking sweating like there was no tomorrow. And he kept having to go off at the back when he went off, and he was drying himself down. So he really like carrying a lot of water. And then when you have somebody that's as shredded as Ian, who was perfectly peaked, like he was so full, but then he was absolutely shredded at the same time, and he wasn't spilling in his time was perfect. Like, I don't care what anybody says. When you stand next to somebody like that, and then you're the one who's like gulping and gasping, and there's like your tan is flowing, like it's gonna make you nervous, you know. But eight for your first Olympia, he got to be in the conversation now for like pushing into a sixth spot next year. You know what I mean? And provided that he can go on and win a show, you know, to qualify, which I'm sure he will. But what was funny was I actually heard a statistic that that's the first show he's ever lost since he started bodybuilding. He's won every single show, and he's only done 7 shows, but that's his first show that he's lost, and it was the Olympia. I mean, that's incredible. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then who came 9th then? Was it Rodriguez?
I think
or
so.
was it Dexter?
Dexter was.
I think was it
Dexter. Dexter was 9th.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Now
I said this when I saw him. I think he obviously didn't push it as hard. I think for his last show, I just think he was down. He must have tapered off the drugs or something, like, because he's obviously or he just didn't look as full. He didn't have as much muscle. He was dry, but
no.
He looked old. He looked old for the first time ever.
Oh my God! You hit the nail on the head, man. Because did you see the backstage pictures when afterwards that he put up when he took pictures with like Sean Clarita and like loads of other people? It's the first time I've ever seen Dexter in pictures and think he looks like a granddad. He looked really old. He had the Olympia tracksuit on, and it was like, yeah, now he needs to go now. You know what I mean? And it, like, in all fairness, when he was actually out of stage, yeah, he looked great. But then there was a lot of people putting up throwback videos of him like back in 2008 and back in 2006 and all this shit. And man, the difference in terms of the fullness, elasticity of skin, like, I mean, it's gonna happen to us all. But it was so clear that, like, okay, this is it now. You know what I mean? I am really glad for the guy that he decided to call it a day, because it's like nobody wants. It's like with Phil. I really want Phil to call it a day. Like, I don't feel like Phil needs to do anything anymore now. You know what I mean? Like, where to go from here? He's not going to fix his stomach. It's not going to get any better. So are you going to now compete for an Arnold and then call it a day? Because he's not going to beat an improved Curry. He's not going to beat an improved Lewis. He's not going to beat an improved Hardy, and he's definitely not going to beat Rami. So he'll be looking at 5th or 6th, you know. And then it's sad because you're looking at legacies to fall. So he needs to just call it a day. You know what I mean? In regards to after Dexter with Justin, Justin was good. I think he maybe could have put Dexter out of Dexter's 9th position. You know, maybe they gave him his dues a little bit. Maybe, I mean, Justin was peeled. He was big. He wasn't soft. Yeah, it was a bit weird. And then, I mean, touching on the last couple of guys, Juan Morel was.
Antoine, Juan Diesel, and there was a few others. Max Charles, yeah. I think Antoine just looked tired. I think he looked good. I enjoyed his routine, and you know, he seemed happy to be there. But then obviously Max Charles, it was just his. I don't know. It's a weird one. I think he's very overlooked these days.
Yeah, but like, okay, let's think about it when it comes from the overall like look. You know what I mean? What are we missing out on is the legs, and we keep saying the legs, but he still never fixed the legs. You know, and when you stand him next to somebody who's more complete down there, he gets exposed, and then his back is just not there when it comes to the separation. Do you know what I mean? I think he doesn't deserve to come down as low as he does, and I think he's getting a bit fed up with coming down as low as he is. And I think I read something as well, I think on one of his posts afterwards, where he was going to let the public know what he was going to do going forward, because I don't think he's too assured of his career going forward. But I could have seen him push Dexter out for sure, and maybe taking like the 10th spot with Rodriguez going up into 9th, definitely. Have I lost your picture there?
I was just about to say, man, turn off your video and turn it back on again, and that should do the job. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
But don't.
And then, yes,
I was just gonna say, like, I agree with you. I think it's like Max. Max is a weird bodybuilder. Like apparently he's huge in person. Like he's a taller guy. Why?
Fucking massive.
He's huge. It's just there's such just has a real top heavy physique. That's all. Like it's just
yeah. But like it's a lot kind of similar to Brandon in the sense that he has the huge arms, huge shoulders, like huge upper back, really good chest, good midsection. It's just so full blown round without the detail. And he does get hard. It's just like, as I said, when you put him next to somebody who's a little bit more aesthetic with good separation and good detail, he just gets exposed again. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, when Regan came out, the first thing I thought when Regan came out was done too many shows. And then the second thing I thought when he hit some of his poses, especially his crab most muscular, was it's like looking at Kuklo 10 years ago. When they kept saying to Kuklo, you need to put on more size. Like with him, it's just a time thing. You know, if he goes down 5 years down the line, starts like putting on 5 pounds every year for the next 5 years, he's very, very much a contender in 5 years' time. It's amazing how, as big as he is in the smaller shows, on the Olympia stage he looked fucking tiny, you know, and he is a big guy, and then he looks so small in comparison to other guys. Do you know? Same with Antoine. I thought the guy from can't remember his name.
Oh, Lee Chung. I know who you're talking about. He looked good. Yeah. I mean, he really big arms, really thick chest. He's probably the biggest guy I've seen on stage. Like,
fucking hell. His physique is crazy. Could do with obviously bigger hamstrings. It could do with, like, you know, lower lats, etc. But his upper body proportions are mental big. Like, he is crazy. That he had a very, very good showing for his first and Osladil was off as well when it comes to his condition standards. Definitely wasn't the same Lucas Osladil of last year. Anyway, that's for sure. He was really bad. And then I think it's down to Juan Morel. I think he came last.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Juan Morel from 3 or 4 years ago, but clearly his cookie business now is his life. He just needs to pack it in now. You know what I mean? Like, he's not coming back next year with a big set of legs, and he is like incredibly downsized from the full blown Juan Morel that beat Nathan Diasha. What was it, 2 years ago to New York Pro? He is nowhere near that guy, and that guy still struggled at the Olympia because of his legs. So I mean, he said he was going to like announce after his family holiday what he was going to do with his career. I think he's just going to call it a day, man, to be honest with you, because he's got nothing left to prove, but he's never going to get higher now than where he was.
Yeah, 2-1-2s, man. 2-1-2s. I mean, what did you think about that? I thought we'll talk about the obvious. I mean, I thought Kamal was going to win it. I really did. It was close. It was not like Kamal was bigger. He was a bigger, like structured guy, good condition.
Yeah.
But I think Sean, they rewarded the fact that he has just made such drastic changes.
Yeah, yeah. I listened to his pod. I listened to him talk to Dusty Hanshaw and Ron Partlow, and he was talking about how he was in lockdown in a garage gym for like 4 or 5 months, and he only had like a barbells and dumbbells and a squat rack, and he just literally went back to basics, literally, you know, Ronnie Dorian style, heavy duty stuff. And then when it came to the gyms reopening, I think in August, like, you know, he kind of kept on with that ethos and carried it over into his prep. And, you know, he put on 11 pounds since last year. I think the reason why he won it is part of the reason you said he was so good, in a sense of his difference from last year was so like impressive. There was no way he wasn't going to come anywhere at least like second, because I mean Lunsford was terrible. But when it came down to the second showing of him, I thought he sealed the deal there, because he came out so full blown and so big, but still had crazy separation and detail, that he just looked like an absolute freak. I mean, people kept saying that he looked like a junior Ronnie, and they weren't wrong. Like, he looked insane. I think where Kamal loses marks, in my opinion, is just his muscularity is not there. Like, and I say that like in for a mature guy who's 50, 51 years of age, who's been training for a long time, he doesn't have the density to match a Clarita like that. And I think he was exposed a lot there in the back, particularly because he didn't have the density to match in those shots. Yeah, he's a bigger frame. Yeah, he's very conditioned. But you know, at the end of the day, if the guy next to you is carrying, is doing the same, you know, is as peeled as you are, as separated as you are, but he looks fucking massive and he's only 170 pounds, your eyes are going to be drawn to that guy because he looks like a freak. You know what I mean? And it is a bodybuilding show, and they're looking for freaks, you know. And at the end of the day, they gave Kamal his shot last year, and I think just with the improvements that Clarita made this year, they couldn't deny him. I thought third place George is. I think I called George to come third actually when I was talking to you. Man, like the thing with George is he's so showy up top that, like, if he had a seriously badass pair of legs, he could easily walk into an open class show and win like a small show like California or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, he has all the tools to be a very good open bodybuilder. He's got all the tools to win the 212 as well, but I don't know how close to the weight limit he is. I think he might have weighed in
on the weight limit for this show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he weighed in at 211.
Yeah.
You know, so if he's to kind of really push the boat out for his legs to come up to match like a Clarita or like Keon Pearson in the wheels department, I don't know where he's going to sacrifice that tissue from. You know what I mean? It's a very narrow, that, like, it's a fine margin now. You know what I mean? And because he is a genetically gifted guy, and he will always put on tissue if he puts the foot down. So that's a tough one. You know, I think he has a lot of thinking to do. Fourth for Lunsford, I thought was a fucking gift.
Yeah.
I think his problem is literally the fact that he's having to suck down way too much. Like, and everybody says that, like, at 230, and you see him like 4 or 5 weeks out at 230, he looks insane. And then when he's down on stage, it's clear as day his legs have suffered tremendously to get him down to 212. You know, he's probably nailed or murdered the cardio, gone as low carb as he possibly could to come down. And some people sacrifice it in different places, and it appears to be that his legs take the battering. And, you know, when he comes down to that weight, to then make him full blown again is kind of the fine line, because they can either leave him flat and keep him on the line at 212, or try and push him up to make him look like the biggest guy on stage. And that's never worked for them, because he when he comes in looking off, he's off. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he loses everything. So, you know, he went from second to fourth. If they keep pushing him down, he's got to make a big decision. I think he's another guy who should be looking at the open, you know. And then fifth was, who was fifth again? Was it
I think it was Ashkenani.
Oh yeah. Again, don't know how the fuck that happened.
Yeah.
Have no idea how that happened. Like, this guy had fucking no separation in his legs, and they had Ole at 6 and Calderon at 7. Now, I don't know how that happened, because Angel was in the top 5 call out, I believe, the first call out. And then I'm trying to remember now, because obviously it was a couple of weeks ago, but he just kind of got a little bit lost in the call outs and kept moving off to the side. And they brought Ole in, and Ole got the 6th spot. But he kept his size and his condition throughout that whole call out. And where the fuck is Ashkenani getting ahead of him based on, like, it's just size. That's the only reason why he beat. It's not because of balance, it's not because of symmetry, and it's definitely not because of condition. Do you know what I mean? So that was a shit call out. Like, I would have had Ashkenani 7, Ole 5th, Calderon 6th. I personally had Calderon 5th. So I don't know where that one went. That was fucking ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting next year, because there's a couple of guys that need to come back into this class that are going to give Clarita a run for his money. Pearson obviously being the front runner. Nicholas Vouliet, he's supposed to be coming back. He's fixed his midsection. He looks mental at right 220. He could win that easily.
Yeah. Well,
he's another flexible kind of shit.
Well, he has the waist. He has, he has a huge arm.
Oh yeah.
You know, and he's short. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's insane.
So dense.
Yeah. And then there's Dwayne has back. I mean, pound for pound, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. Pound for pound, that guy is probably the strongest bodybuilder on the planet. He is insane strong. Like, you know, he benches 5 plates. I think the hack squat like 12 plates aside. He's like Coleman strong. He is fucking crazy. And he comes on stage rock hard and shredded. So if they're kind of going for that dense, gnarly, hard, fucking full-blown look, if he gets a call next to Clarita, he can definitely push Clarita in that department anyway, for sure. And then there's another guy, Sami Trouty. He's based out in Dubai. Yeah, Sami Trouty, yeah. Incredible physique.
Condition with him, man. It's just pure condition.
Yes. He just can't get healed. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then we probably are going to see Breon in this class next year. After the classic, which I'm sure we'll talk about now. But definitely, I think he's definitely going to have to move up, because going into the classic, Bumstead was, I mean, I to be honest with you, for a guy who doesn't like Bumstead, I've changed my mind with Bumstead. He fucking looked insane. And I think a comparison between, like, I think 2 or 3 days shot from last year out to 2 or 3 days from this year out, and the size he put on in that space of time, and he wouldn't have even done it over a course of a year. I think it was maybe over a course of 6 to 8 months, was nothing short of miraculous. I mean, I was listening to Skip Hill talk about it, and Skip had, you know, this kind of deciding thing between where people need to understand why guys are Olympians is because what Bumstead did in a 6 to 8 month period is what would take the average Joe 5 years to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, the average Joe who never missed a fucking meal or a training session, who had his logbook, tea, like, I mean, guy walks into the gym, takes some time off after the Olympia, comes off all the gear, goes back on, starts a bit of training, and lo and behold, comes back, and his back is like literally double the size of what it was last year. You know what I mean? So kudos to him and Ian Valier. They did a tremendous job. And I think he'll definitely be Mr. Olympia next year. But however, I'm gonna talk on this guy because I mentioned him as a dark horse, and he was insane. Was Brian Jones, who came fifth. And Aceto even said himself, this guy is the guy who's going to push Bumstead. He is, I mean, he was, in my opinion, he definitely was better than Angel Calderon. Not Angel Calderon, what's his name, who came fourth? What's your man's name who came fourth again?
Lunsford, what? In the two.
No.
Paddy.
Oh, what was his name? No. Let me Google it quickly. It's going to come to me now. Because it was Terence second. What did you think of Terence coming second?
You know, Terence looked good. Like, I've always thought he was bigger. You know, his posing is probably what brought him up. I think his presentation is so good. It's just
Alex Cabanero.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, Alex looked good. I think Alex looked good. It's just he looks like a small bodybuilder to me. He doesn't like
Yes.
Terence looks classic as fuck. Like Terence just knows how to present himself. And I think then with Breon coming third, I mean, it wasn't like as if Breon came in off, but he definitely wasn't as classic looking. I think he's gotten too big or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's the thing, the whole time they kept prejudging and everything, they kept Chris and Breon together. Yeah. And then the whole time, Chris and Breon kept fucking each other, hitting each other and bumping into each other. And Breon was more the instigator there. Yeah. Call me, you want, but Weinberger has no time for it. And he kept saying to Breon, like, space, move away, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, he just lost his fucking cool and his reason with Breon and was like, right, get out. Terence, you're in next to Thingy. And the minute they put Terence in next to Chris, it became a classic battle. Because now you had a small aesthetic classic bodybuilder against the taller classic aesthetic bodybuilder. And it was a bit of a contest because now it became a classic posing show. You know, but he's not a classic bodybuilder. So they keep it off so much you okay, now we're going to call off the give that work. He's going to be pushing spot big time. He is so niche that they're going for some as the classic champ who's tall like that. You know, they should try and move a more like compatible physique in next to him to see how he fares out. But I feel that they were just giving him his dues now and putting him in that fifth. Now that he came fifth this year, it's definitely going to be like, okay, well, you've made the fifth spot. We can put you in next to Chris next year, and there's going to be like, no, like, what the hell is going on type of thing. You know what I mean? Because he's already proved his point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, do you think going ahead, like there's certain guys, obviously, I felt that weren't, that didn't kind of meet the part. You know what I mean? Like obviously Logan Franklin was talking all that smack. It's like I thought.
He was good. I thought Logan was good. I just think he's one for the future because of what he's bringing to the table. Yeah. Like he has the tools to kind of stand next to a Chris in the future when he's worked on what he needs to work on. Like, he's made a name for himself now. He's won a New York Pro. He's come top 10 at the Olympia in his first running a classic. So he hasn't done wrong. It's just he's just not been good enough to get in that top 5 to really kind of say, okay, I can back up everything I was talking about. But he will be definitely one of those guys that they're looking at, in the future, because you've got a good few guys who are tall who fit the criteria like Chris. And saying that, Wesley Vissers, I thought, was very, very good, except his pants were just ridiculous. And lo and behold, they actually told him after the show that your pants were way too big and way too high and way too wide. You needed a shorter, smaller pair of pants. And I think he actually came back at the night show with a different setup, but the damage had already been done. Now, he has improved dramatically on his legs. But you know what's the funny thing about this guy? As much as he's got the arniest of Arnie physiques, his waist is just really wide. And even though he does a great vacuum and he looks so cool standing by himself in the front double, if you notice when he was in the call out standing next to the wispier waist guys, he's just blown away. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if you have a guy with a 20-nothing inch waist who's got really wide shoulders and he can hit like a mantis shot, or he can hit like a side chest shot, like, you know, and twist his waist in such a way that it disappears, it's going to be very difficult for him to beat those kind of guys. Do you know what I mean? And you could tell he was really pissed off because he had put the work in. So he could be a guy in 2 years, 3 years' time, if he's not moving up the pecking order, you could definitely see him moving to the Open, 100%. You know what I mean? But yeah, I thought the clip.
I mean, like, I think Wesley, I think legit. It's definitely just a case of he has the potential to get bigger too. I think it's just with that stroke.
Yeah.
I've been on the muscle. I've taken a few years off and go to the Open, but I'd say give it a couple more years in the classic. I mean, he's not far off. Maybe breaking.
No, yeah. Like he needs 2 or 3 years to really see like what the judges like. If he ticks all the boxes for the judges, everything they ask him over the next 2 or 3 years, and he's still not getting a top 3 call out, like, or top 3, like, you know, placing at an Arnold or an Olympia, he can't waste time in that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he could be a legacy for himself in the Open, and Fuad Abi had that on the podcast, and I totally agree that, like, could be another Cedric in the Open that brings that whole political element to Open class and still like as wants to be, but just the Open class. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's basically a thought classic. I think Bumstead's going to hold that title for the next 2 or 3 years, keeps him for like that. I mean, I don't know how long he wants to stay in bodybuilding because of health, but certainly he's proved to people now that he can pick up, you know, any ground that has been left behind, can improve year on year, his health issues. So we'll see. But he impressed me a lot. He really did.
Yeah, I mean, with men's physique, I didn't really watch it, to be honest with you. I may have turned it off. I watched came back. I watched women's physique and I watched women's bodybuilding though, and I watched it. I thought they were, and figure I watched all those. So, but men's physique, who won it? Because the guys, you talk about the top guys there.
Yeah, Brandon Henriksen won. My guy Andre, the new guy, he came fifth. Potvin came fourth. Rant came second, I think. And I don't think Andre five. I can't remember who third, but yeah, Henriksen. He actually fell out his coach 7 or 8 days before the finals, and then he actually hooked up with Neil Hill, and Neil Hill peaked him for the week leading into the Olympia. So not a bad week for Neil Hill. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take up from, you know, take up from where someone else left, and then the guy wins Olympia, and he has won. Like, he won it in 18. So he was just getting, you know, in his words, his little back. And he's got a fantastic physique. Fifth is a big statement. Him and Potvin are definitely going to be like 2 guys pushing Rant and Brandon Henriksen, because they bring them completely unique, different to that class. Like, Potvin has a very unique shape, and so does Andre. And Andre's, like, he is a kind of guy, and he's tall, big, and he's got the look that they want. So that's going to be an interesting one next year, definitely. I think obviously the biggest surprise of the whole Olympia weekend from round winning was Shanique Grant losing the title. and she's evidently retired now. Since
Yeah, I
then.
was gonna say, man, like, I don't think she lost because she was good enough to lose. I think it was comparing her against her last couple of showings. And I think her last couple of showings, she was pretty much bone dry after. This time she was a little bit watery, but she was still good enough to win. I don't think the artist who came first, I don't think she. No, I didn't have her winning whatsoever. She doesn't look feminine to me either. She looks a bit too like drugged up, if I'm going to be honest. She has a lot of male features going on in her face.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, okay, so when I was watching that class and Shanique came out, and she was like a carbon copy of her last year, but she looked about maybe 7-8 pounds heavier. When the Sarah Villegas came out, the girl won. I looked at my missus and went, holy fuck. I was like, look at that girl's conditioning in her quads. Her legs were insanely separated and hard and dry. And, you know, I've heard a lot of coaches in the past, you know, say you can have the prettiest shape on stage, but it's not the prettiest shape wins. You know, you need to bring a level of conditioning that's worthy of winning the show. And I felt that when it came down to it, she was just the hardest girl in the lineup, you know, and she had a very, very, very good bottom half. Upper body is never going to be as bubbly and as round and as in shape as Shanique Grant's. But I felt that the judges looked at like her improvements, particularly down below, and just thought, well, fuck it, you know, this girl has really worked for it. Because sometimes when girls believe like they just need to turn up, or just need to turn up, just like the titles they're based on structure and shape alone, they maybe don't put as much effort into it. And I said this before, that when you watch a girl train, it seems so seamless and effortless to her that it comes so easy. You would wonder how disciplined or how dedicated she is to getting as conditioned as she possibly could be, you know? And she's gone on record to say like that she doesn't want to lose her femininity. She didn't want to lose the possibility of becoming a mother in the future, and she wanted to have a family, which you've got absolutely respect to the hilt, because she's 25, and what people don't realize when they look at female bodybuilders like this is, you know, they are taking a lot of gear, you know. I say a lot, they're taking a lot for women. And albeit her genetics probably limited her from taking as much gear as she probably needed to, she probably didn't touch nowhere near as what some of the girls are doing after because of her genetics. She loses her femininity over time in her prep. She goes from being a very, you know, feminine, good-looking girl in the off season, you know, to looking very, you know, skeletal-faced, masculine features coming out. And that has to play a lot on women's mind. You know, they see facial structural change, like, and a lot of the time, you know, girls go so deep into the deep end that it doesn't, you know, and they play like that a lot of the time, and they end up with deep voices, and they end up with, you know, more masculine features. And for somebody who's young to not be able to retrieve or reprieve those features back, that would play in your mind big time. And this is where I'm saying, if that's in the back of her mind all along, which clearly it was because she's just fucking retired 2 weeks after the O, then she probably didn't push herself as much as she probably could have. You know, and I'd win, lose, or draw here, she was coming out and making this retirement announcement anyway. You know, I think if she won her third O, she was going to retire anyway. Because, I mean, what else has she got to prove? She's done it. She's won what she wanted to win. She can ride off into the sunset and have a family now and leave unscarred. You know what I mean? And not have any ailments left and, you know, health issues or shit like that she has to deal with for the rest of her life. It's smart. You know what I mean? If she doesn't want to go on and do an Iris Kyle.
Yeah, no, talking about Iris Kyle, actually, because actually, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but even with herself retiring, like, for a guy, you know, it's just enhancing masculinity. It's enhancing your own features, but with a girl, it's changing your own makeup. So competing for a female is a bigger choice, I have to say. And no, she has
Oh,
nothing to
big.
prove. She's a double winner. So like
Yeah.
she's done what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Jessica, like
100%.
I don't think she'll win it again. I'd say it'll be a switcheroo now for the next few years because you have some really good physiques up there. But going into figure, you know, we
Yeah.
have a four-time winner there. Sydney Gillen, she looked great. Um, Not really
Yeah.
anything missing. You know, she has everything that's needed to be a champion. She's pretty much the same as last year. Um, I
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, I don't actually know anyone else in the class really, but
Yeah. So the girl came third. Who's been pushing Sydney more, and I think she won it herself. I'll get her name. She should probably move into women's physique. Mr Olympia figure. I'm just having a look at it now to bring up the results here. Yeah, she definitely could go into. She definitely go into the physique because she has a similar structure to Shanique Grant, and she's tall and same muscle bellies. She just didn't come in condition. But Sydney Gillen, what I really like about her is she is like glowing the minute she comes out on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like her, like Aurora or Aura, whatever you want to call it, is phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Like she just knows she's won the minute she started strutting across the stage. It's a clock from start to finish. You know, very hard to somebody like confident in themselves. I thought Jordan's girl Ray Gale was very unfortunate to not take a top spot purely because she has a very similar structure to Sydney. The girl who came second, uh, she surprised me. Not because I didn't think enough, but she's. I mean, when you see some of the other girls who are submitted stage, hard to see, and then it comes down to a conditioning game. And so you have to beat these girls at what some of them are not like consistent at. And when you're consistent like she was, you get your reward for it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I thought he was fantastic. In the bikini, definitely think Janet was worthy of the title. The girl who I had picked before, Alita de Ortega, I think her name is, the Brazilian, her and the girl who came sort of similarly balanced look, very similar to each other. Laurie, I think, came fifth as well. It's such a tight class. They're so even balanced between each other. You know what I mean? It's so difficult to know when you're not like Heaney judge what they're looking at. I'm like purely looking at athletics and shape. And I thought that definitely look really, really well. So did Alex where you know, she's a little bit calf heavy, I think, if that makes sense. You know, when she's strutting across, her calves are very big. I think if they were a little bit more peachy, a little bit more balanced. But yes, there's those top girls now. They definitely will be the front runners, I'd say, coming up for the next couple of years. The women's bodybuilding was so interesting.
yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I remember I like this is the first time it's been on stage in 10 years. I was meant to be there. But she was a no-show, man. And Freya Shaw came in and won. And she's won the Wings of Strength, the
That's
Rise
right. Yeah.
Phoenix thing. So I mean, she's a champion. She looked really good, really. really proportionate. And then who came second? Was it Helen Trevino or something? Or
no, I think Trevino came third.
yeah. And then
I think I came third. But yes, the girl who won, like when I think of how a Miss Olympia look, she definitely was the cream up there. Because she just had the best balance and musculature out of all the girls. Some of them looked a little bit, how can I put this, disproportionate. You know, some were lacking, some were lacking shoulders, some had great legs, but some didn't have great. She was the best, well put together girl stage by a mile. And I think it was unfortunate what happened to Iris. I believe before they was done. Some long.
yeah, sorry, you just broke up there, man, a little bit.
I'm saying I think that she was about to go out, and it was literally a case where she just had to pull out at the last minute. Iris Kyle.
So she was there, ready to do the show. Like she was actually.
No, she was there. Yeah, she was there. She just literally. They said she had an illness and she pulled out. Now, I mean, if she's pulling out last minute before the show, probably more than likely it's a diuretic thing. You know what I mean? If she's pulling out that last, she's probably dehydrated to bits, and nobody's actually commented on it, or she hasn't commented on it afterwards to say exactly what it was. But I'm imagining it was something along those lines. But yeah, the girl who won, Andrea Shaw, incredible, and it was really good to see the support that they had, you know, because it is a very niche class. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to get a lot of people who are going to like what they see. But it for me, it was probably the most interesting in a sense to critique, because I haven't watched a women's bodybuilding show for a very long time. And when she came out, she was a clear as cut day winner. And if they kind of, you know, if the class goes down that road, then it's going to be a very popular class. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't look completely, you know, emasculated. Like she obviously had the face, you know, natural structure. And then there was certain female bodybuilders who I felt, look a bit too much, like it was a drug, you know, induced physique. And you can kind of get that with some of the white. I think it's definitely down to genetics again when it comes to it. I think like Iris Kyle, like I think the reason she won it for 10 years was because, you know, she's a freak. And I think like you need someone who has that. I think Shanique, if she wanted to, she could go into female bodybuilding and be very good. But again, is that what she wants? Obviously, it doesn't seem to be the case. So, but I mean, overall, I mean, the whole weekend was really, really good. I mean, I felt like to be able to watch it live was great. Be it in, you know, pretty good condition, pretty good quality for webcasts, and like hopefully going forward that they would keep this whole webcast going as a pay-per-view, because it's definitely the way to bring in the revenue needed.
It is. I think, do you know what? Just touching on that quickly. The most frustrating thing for me is the lighting. Right? It's 2020 now, 2021, and we're watching bodybuilding shows on 80 cameras and what. I've got more fucking lights on stage than a Christmas fucking house with lights outside. I don't know. It's ridiculous. You cannot see the separation and detail that you used to be able to see in the 90s, when it was just a clear black backdrop with spotlighting and the rest of the stage shaded out. Yeah. Like, if you go back and watch the British Grand Prix in '99, which had Coleman, Levrone, Wheeler, I think the best Frex Wheeler probably that ever graced the stage. The lighting was fucking insane. Like, when they came out on stage, it looks like, you know, they're like magnified freaks because of the way they had the lighting. But you could see absolutely every detail, yeah. And watching some of these shows with the HD cameras, especially sometimes the cameramen, I don't know where to go with the shots half the time, but you can't see. Like, I mean, it's hard sometimes to see the level of detail that you want to see. You know what I mean? And it's only afterwards when you see some of the snapshots from an HD camera from somebody who was like 2 feet away from the athlete, do you really see how detailed they were? Because although Ramy looked really good in the side shots watching the webcam, he didn't look as good until you actually seen the stills afterwards. And you were like, holy shit, he was fucking shredded.
See,
Do you know what I mean? Like, absolutely mental shredded.
I had a friend who was at the show, so obviously Ryan Crowley, who's been doing a few shows over there. I actually met him. I saw back in the day, but so that's my one thing I can say. I bet somebody who came sixth in the super heavies in, I think it was the Olympia, the amateur Olympia, or it was nationals or something or whatever. But he was at the show, so the instant Ramy came out, I just texted him, is he good enough to win in person? And he just said, yeah. I just said, if he's met it, that's like second row, sitting with Milo and all those guys. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, sometimes it's so difficult to judge off the webcam feed how good they really are, because sometimes. But then I was like, well, hang on a second. The 2-on-2 guys come out and look fucking nutty shredded. And then the open guys come and look okay shredded. So I'm like, is it the case why there's not in condition? Or did they change lighting? I mean, because small and came out, I was holy, these guys are peak. And then when the open guys, I was like, they look a little bit off. You know what I mean? But obviously then for the night show or the second show, the Saturday show, they looked a lot better. And I don't know whether they fixed the lighting or is it just themselves or is it a mixture of both. But I just wish they would fix the lighting so that we could have like black backdrop with a spotlight lighting and have it shaded like it used to be, and then let me stand under those lights and then move. You know,
well, at least
so much easier
pre-judging because it's like I just saw just for the pre-judging. I mean, for the finals, make it a show, but you know that's how it should be. But I mean, overall, though, do you feel like that the Olympia? I think it was a great show. I think the quality of guys who turned up, considering what was going on, like everyone who turned up, they did come in. Nobody was off in the open for once, like in terms of like being really off. Like, I mean, even though you said it was a bit washed out, it was just over carbed. I think it was over full. Like, I mean,
carb,
and then even guys who came last they were all peeled. Like nobody was like off.
Yeah.
Really good.
No. It was a solid Olympia. And the fact that Jake Wood actually got it off the ground and got on, and got it like to happen all together was a triumph in itself. I mean, for bodybuilding to survive, the Olympia needs to be a feature every year. You know, regardless of other shows that might get pulled, the Olympia needs to go ahead. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's the pinnacle of the sport. It's the Grand Prix. It's the Champions League. It's the everything. It needs to go ahead in order for the sport to survive. And the fact that the live stream was able to be so successful across the world, and for people to be able to, like, you know, see it happening. And I know 45 or 50 quid was a little bit dear, but look, it's once a year, man. You know what I mean? And it means that the athletes can get paid well enough for placing in the best show in the world. But then I'm all for it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. I think next year it'll be an even better show. You're gonna have some returning stars. You're gonna have the Arnold has already been called off. There's gonna be no Arnold Classic 21 in Columbus. There is going to be an Arnold Euro in England, but I think that's an IFBB Elite show. I don't think that's going to be an IFBB Pro show. it's a weird year. I mean, even with Ireland, it's like we like I've heard Navis going back to the night time and the morning show because of what's going on. They're going to split it up into a pre-judging and finals. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this affects how the shows do carry on going forward.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we'll be lucky if we get spring shows next year or this year, sorry. And obviously, with the rollout of the vaccines, you would hope time comes that we'll have a bit more clarity as October shows. Again, just the Olympia needs to go ahead. We need in this country to go ahead to keep games successful and alive. If there's no roles for people to compete in, and there's nothing really for people who are starting to be winning titles to train for. You know what I mean? It's all good having a passion to train, because we all have a passion to train. That's what gets us up in the day and motivates us. For those of us who actually have dreams of winning titles in the country, keep getting knocked back every time, a show is supposed to go ahead, whatever. It is very disheartening, because we've so much time and effort into this to be the best version of ourselves possible. We only want to go and represent the sport in the country to the best of our ability. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult to keep that outcome. I'll say just before we log off, though, however, for anybody listening, if they haven't already signed up to the United Gyms Ireland page on Instagram, to maybe go and give the guys a follow and sign up there. And on the petition, at the moment, currently sitting at 30%. Obviously, we need 100% of everybody involved in the industry in the country to be heard, so that we can get this, changed around, and have gyms as an essential service. We need it. You know what I mean? We need it for the greater good of people, especially in January when everybody's been a bit too overindulgent over the Christmas. Everybody needs to get back to some form of routine to make themselves feel better. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think that being said, though, I think going forward we are in a better place. It's just will they use this lockdown time, wisely? Will they not? That's the worry. But if they use it correctly and give the vaccine to the people who want it, who need it, and inoculate enough people that look, gyms should be essential. Like coming from working in one every day, like it's not something where we're letting in people off the road. Like we know who the members are, we trust them to tell us if they're sick. Now, obviously, you're gonna have a few idiots in every single gym, but it's usually not because of COVID. It's usually just, you'll get somebody trying to sneak in every so often, and you'll get somebody trying to use someone else's membership. But I mean, that happens before COVID. Now we just have to be on the ball with it a bit more. But I think once all those things are met, yeah, absolutely, the gyms are completely there. They're a place for people to go, especially with nothing open. It gives people a bit of an escape for a couple of hours a day. And it's not the summer where you can go outside all that. It's going to start snowing. It's going to start getting fairly miserable for people. So hopefully if they stay open, come February, they stay open. That's it.
Yeah. Actually, 100%. But anyway, listen, I better go, because I've got this young fella of mine here looking for us. I'll help. But listen, I appreciate having me back on for the wrap up, and we'll catch up soon enough. Anyway, when the gyms reopen, we'll get out for that session, definitely.
Yeah, one of your mates was saying he's actually training in Raw. A big, tall, bald fella called Joe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get his what's his surname?
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. Yeah, because he trains with a friend of mine. So I was like, oh, I listened to your episode, Steven, last, and I was like, he said he was a friend of yours. So I was like, it's a small world. Like everybody knows somebody. Yeah. But absolutely, man, I'll let you know when it's up.
Please. And appreciate you having me on. And sure, look, we'll hook up again in the next couple of weeks as soon as this is all done, yeah?
For sure. And with everyone listening, just don't be afraid to fire on any questions. Like, what I kind of want to do is kind of just accumulate a few general questions, and then whoever comes on, I can kind of fire them, you know. But and yeah, no, for everybody listening, that's us.